Hey, everybody. Welcome to what even looks like a weird podcast and will probably feel like a weird podcast. And I might not even post this one. I already feel very uncomfortable without a guitar in my hands. But I have my trusty mug. Anyways, normally I shoot these podcasts on Mondays. But on Monday, I will be traveling down to Galena, Illinois with my wife. And I will be playing a show for those lovely people. And then Tuesday, I'll be driving back. And Wednesday, something has to come out. I can't leave y'all hanging for episode 51, week 51 of the Hey Everybody podcast. So, I'm just shooting this quick on Thursday. Today's Thursday. It was a busy day. I did a radio interview, picked up a bunch of merch for the shows this summer, all kinds of stuff. Trimmed my beard because it's hot. And usually the stuff we talk about is real kind of timely, like, guess what happened this week? But I just shot a podcast a couple days ago and released one. Is it Thursday or Wednesday today? Oh, it's Wednesday. So I released one today. But there's something that's been kind of on my mind. I'm sitting at my desk right now, this is where I make any music that I record at home, and this is where I sit and scroll through Facebook if I want to feel bad about myself and the world around me, which I do a shocking amount of the time. So, some friends of mine kind of got off Facebook recently because I think last year a documentary came out called The Social Dilemma that, for my money, could have been called, well, duh. Because the gist of this documentary, which I have not seen, so forgive me as I talk about things I shouldn't even be talking about because I don't understand them, but that's kind of what we do here. The gist of this documentary is that social media, and Facebook in particular, exists and works because of this algorithm. And the algorithm is not inherently malicious. It just is programmed to do whatever it needs to do to keep you on the site. And because of the way our brains work and the way psychology works, what keeps us coming back to something is a feeling of fear, frustration, or anger, especially anger. Now, for my money, like, news organizations have known this and been using it for a long time. If you turn on any 24-hour news network, they're trying to scare the shit out of you. Because if you're terrified, you feel like you have to stay put and keep watching this show in hopes that they will at some point assuage your fear, which they're not interested in doing. So the Facebook algorithm does this same thing. And the way it does that is it shows you things that upset you. It gets to know you based on the things that you post, the things that you share, the things that you click on, all that kind of stuff. And then it shows you stuff that will upset you on purpose so that you will stay put. Because then they can show you ads. And that's how they make their money. My dad likes to say, if something is free, it usually means you are the actual product. So your data and your time, and unfortunately your well-being in a sense, are the product on Facebook. And billions of dollars are spent every year, if you trace it back far enough, essentially to make you feel bad. They'll say, well, we spend billions of dollars marketing to you. But we market to you on Facebook, and the way to keep you on Facebook to see the ads, we've learned, is to sort of make you unhappy. So yeah, I guess we're purposely making you unhappy so you'll stay on Facebook and see our ads and buy some stuff you don't need. I like to say that they don't have to advertise for things that you need because you know them. When's the last time you saw a commercial that said, like, hey, have you tried water? You should drink some water. It's good for you. And then there's like wellness products and that kind of thing, but let's talk about that some other time. But what has struck me is a massive number of people saw this documentary. And it didn't lead to a massive wave of empathy the way that I thought it would. So let's take person A who says, oh, I saw this documentary and they're rewiring my brain. They're purposely showing me things that upset me and scare me and make me sad and make me angry so that I'll stay here so they can sell me detergent and other crap. And it's actually the way our brains work. If we keep doing these things over and over again, we develop patterns, and it really does kind of change the way your brain works. So now, even if you're off Facebook, you're out in the world just with a filter on that's having you seek out the things that upset you and make you sad and make you angry and whatever. And I saw this documentary and I learned this. I should be embarrassed. I didn't already know. But so now I know. And I'm either leaving Facebook, or I'm changing the way I use Facebook, or I'm at least aware of how Facebook works, and will hopefully be less affected by it. I totally understand person A, because they're thinking billions of dollars have been spent by thousands of multinational corporations and one big tech organization to make me feel a way I don't want to feel. And that if it was up to me, maybe I wouldn't feel, and that maybe I didn't used to feel, and all this kind of stuff. And here comes person B, who says a thing that Facebook is going to use to make person A feel, say it with me now, scared, sad, angry, upset, whatever. Person A reads this status from person B, and they go, ah, the hell with person B. They don't, for whatever reason, go, would you look at person B? Person B does not realize that hundreds, if not thousands, of multinational corporations are spending billions of dollars to make him feel, say it with me now, scared, sad, upset, afraid, hurt, mad, whatever. And probably some political idiot seizes upon person B's feeling, which he only has because of the way the world is interacting with him to try to get him to buy more stuff. And person B finds this politician who says, hey, I see that you're hurt, sad, scared, afraid, angry, whatever. It's not your fault, which is maybe true. And I'm going to fix it, which is always not true. But person A sees this and doesn't go like, ah, look at person B. Don't you kind of feel for him a little bit? He doesn't know what's happening to him. And it's making him think erroneous, false, fake stuff. It's making him think lies are true. It's making him think he's in danger, he's at risk, he's being wronged in some way. And the real funny thing is, he's finding out wrongly that he's being mistreated by people that aren't mistreating him, but he's finding out from the people, Facebook and the like, who are mistreating him. And then he turns to a politician to save him, and the politician mistreats him. And I'm not saying that we should even feel an impulse to tolerate bad behavior from person B or anybody else. Bad behavior exists to be corrected and learned from, and we'll move on. What I am saying is, and this will probably be unpopular, because I'm a lefty liberal guy, and I think most people that like me are lefty liberal guys, but I know for a fact that some aren't. And this might be unpopular amongst the lefty liberal folks who I love, but it might be easier to correct the behavior and fix what I believe to be bad ideas if we approach this person acknowledging the situation they're in, which is the situation that we ourselves are in, which is that these companies are spending billions of dollars to upset us and make us feel fearful and angry and make us pick a side and make us not talk to each other and not try to explain things to each other and not try to learn from each other, but to do battle. And I'm not sure if it's any more nefarious than they're trying to get us to buy gym memberships and laundry detergent and foot-long subs and that kind of thing. But it doesn't matter, It could be more nefarious than that. It could be that they really are trying to divide the country so they can take it over and whatever. But at the end of the day, in the here and now between me and you, it doesn't matter that much, I don't think. And the times, because again, I've talked about this in the past, that like, I don't know how interested I am in setting out to change people's minds, but I'm very interested in being honest with people and trying to connect with them and being open and vulnerable and authentic and realizing that we're all going through a lot of the same things. And when I do that, sometimes people change their minds, and I'm glad about that. And it's easier to do that when I approach people, especially people that frankly piss me off sometimes or make me sad for the future or whatever, when I approach them in the spirit of, this person might not even know what's being done to them. And I'm optimistic enough, I guess, to think that if they did, they might not think these handful of things that the world would say separates me from this person. That I think this and that person thinks that, so we shouldn't talk to each other. And I do think there are times where that can be true. I think that if, for example, you are an LGBTQ person and you don't feel like talking to a homophobe, Lord knows I get that, and I have sympathy for that. And I think part of being an ally is, it's not going to hurt me as badly and as personally to interact with this homophobic person or this transphobic person. So I will carry that weight. But I am going to carry that weight, and it doesn't mean telling this person to kiss my ass. It means I'm going to sit down and I'm going to try to be effective in communicating with this person and maybe changing their mind for the betterment of the world and my LGBTQ friends and for the person themselves. The fact is, homophobes aren't happy and transphobes aren't happy and racists aren't happy, and also none of them are very good looking. Because it's just a thought I had in the car the other day. I ain't never met a really good looking person and then found out something real heinous, that they had some hate in their heart, because I think that hate takes a toll, and I think it makes you less pleasant to be around, and frankly kind of hard on the eyes most times. So I think I said this all really fast. I have a bit of a time crunch. Like I said, it's a busy day and I feel weird about this new format, and I don't know if it's a keeper or not. And I'm on my way out the door to have some coffee with my wife and then shoot off to band practice. But I've had this note written down forever. Just social media empathy ? The fact is, whatever these big corporations are doing to you and whatever effect they're having on your mind, they're doing it to everybody. And if it upsets you that they're doing it to you, it should upset you that they're doing it to everybody. And if it makes you go, well shoot, maybe I don't need to be as angry or fearful or upset as I have been, it should make you go, well shoot, maybe these people don't need to be either. And maybe if they weren't, they wouldn't be so quick to think terrible things. And I know some people are just, I don't know if I think we can fix everybody. But I know I'm not going to approach every interaction assuming that we can't fix everybody. I've met people where by the end of it, I just kind of threw up my hands and went, oi, well, tonight's happy thought when I drift off to sleep is going to have to be that I tried. But I do think we have to try, especially if we're going to walk around daring to call ourselves allies or liberals or fighters for a cause. At a certain point, we're going to have to acknowledge that what that really means is that we talk to people that it's not going to be easy to talk to, and we try to treat them a way that our impulse might not be to treat them in that way. But I do think if you really want to change the world, you're saying you want to change hearts and minds. And I really think the only way to do that is to approach people with some empathy, and understand that empathy is not sympathy, and empathy does not excuse bad behavior. Empathy is just the attempt to understand why a person thinks this thing or does this thing. And the result of empathy can often be you're better equipped to try to change this person's mind, which is the goal when dealing with transphobes and homophobes and racist people and sexist people and all this kind of stuff. My son and I always reference this bit from a comedian named Pete Holmes. And there's this, I've said it before, there's a throwaway line in the bit where he just says, happy people don't steal parking spaces. And I would like to think that happy people don't do a lot of the things I've mentioned here. And this documentary that the left was very quick to seize on and believe says one of the reasons modern people aren't happy is because of social media. So I guess my main point is that when you approach these people, try to approach them the same way you approached your own situation when you found out, like, Zuckerberg's doing what to me? He's rewiring my brain to try to sell me socks and cars I can't afford and new watches like my phone doesn't tell the time. That's happening to these people too. And we need to try to change their minds. And it will be easier if we first understand their minds. And I know some of you aren't going to like it. Some of you think we should take to the street and club people over the head. But you never seem to do that. And I'm really trying to change things because I want this world to be better for my son and for your kids and for my trans friends and my gay friends and my friends that are people of color and all that kind of stuff. So, there's that. I hope that's cool. I'm not going to play you a song because I don't have a guitar on me. There's guitars everywhere. I don't have one with me. And like I talked about last week, I think I'm going to take a break from the songs until such time as I feel like I got to play this song for people on the podcast. I will hit you with some recommendations because I like that part of the podcast, and I've been told a lot of you do as well. So here we go. First up, this record is called Local Honey, and it's by a gentleman named Brian Fallon. Brian Fallon came to prominence fronting a band called the Gaslight Anthem, and I have a very strange relationship with Brian Fallon. Not that I know him personally or anything, but Brian Fallon comes up in my life a lot because people hear my music and they go, oh, you must really love Brian Fallon. And sometimes they say it in a tone that like, you like Brian, whatever. First of all, yes, I do very much like Brian Fallon, and I very much like the Gaslight Anthem. Second of all, I don't think our music sounds very similar. And third of all, is it surprising that a man my age who grew up listening to Bob Dylan and Tom Waits and Johnny Cash, but then played in hardcore and punk bands before coming back to those rootsier sounds, is it that weird that our music might sound a little similar? We're kind of very similar people, at least in that part of our background. And it's just funny, the stuff that we let bother us. Like, I do feel bristly sometimes. I get a cactus in my cup holder when someone's like, oh, you like Brian Fallon because you used the A minor chord? And it's like, well, yeah, but also in 2021, how many ways are there to play rootsy, folky Americana music? There's 100 people that you could say like, oh, I heard your song and assume that you like so-and-so, and you would be right. I like a lot of music. I spent all day yesterday listening to really gnarly hardcore music and Tim McGraw. I wanted to hear this Tim McGraw record that I remembered listening to as a kid, and I wanted to see if it still held up. And some of those songs do. There's some real good songs on there, and if I had it on vinyl, I'd share it with you now. Finally, this record is called Oh, and it's by a gentleman named Damien Rice, who is from Ireland, if I'm not mistaken. This record is wonderful, and it was a very big deal when it came out about 2001, 2002, somewhere in there, early 2000s. It was recorded in a very DIY fashion, so it has a lot of charm, and it's very creaky, and I like records that sound like they were made the way they were made. If you make a record at your house, I don't want it to sound bad, but I would like it to sound like you're in a living room. And one of my least favorite things is when people go into studios and make nice records that sound good and then try to make them sound like lo-fi or punk rock or gnarly, whatever. If you want to make a lo-fi record, do so in your basement with 2 microphones. It's fun and not very hard. But if you make a really great sounding record, put out a great sounding record. I've never understood that. But this Damien Rice record is wonderful, and it's can be very sad at times that in a way that feels good, the way sad songs sometimes do. Oliver and I were talking about a song, and I said it's kind of a sad song, but in that good way. And he goes, "You mean like where you're kind of happy because you're having a feeling?" And I went, "Cool." So yeah, I got to see Damien Rice on that tour in a very small room in Madison, and it was wonderful. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen, and it was somehow very, very loud. He had a band with him, but he was playing these same very quiet folk songs, and at times it would just explode, and it was wonderful. That's it. Let's see how this goes. I'm going to watch it tomorrow, probably. And if it turned out well, I'll release it. And if it turned out bad, I'll grab a guitar and I'll go sit on the couch and I'll shoot something else. But I think this could be fun. This could be an interesting way to do the next chunk of these now that we've broken past the 50 episode mark. And let me know what you think. If you ever see this, let me know if you liked it. And I feel too close to the camera. I'm uncomfortable on camera. We've talked about this, which is weird for someone who's putting out episode 51 of a podcast. It's just their face. But, you know, it feels good doing this, and people are getting something out of it. So let me know what you think, and we'll talk next week. I'm time traveling in my mind because we won't. We'll talk next week. But you won't know, except that I keep telling you. All right. Take care of yourself. Take care of somebody else. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.